everybody. William Bibbiani here. I am at Comic-Con 2016 with the cast of the new Mystery Science Theater 3000 and one of the members of the old cast of Mystery Science Theater 3000. Sound off, gentlemen.
My name is Jonah Ray. I'll be playing Jonah Heston.
I'm Vaughn. I'm Tom Servo.
I'm Joel Hodgson. I'm the creator of the show.
I'm Hampton Yount. I play Croaky Robot.
Gentlemen, congratulations on getting the show going. Congratulations on being cast in the show. I think my first question is, when MST3K first started, there was nothing like it on television. There was nothing like it anywhere, really. And now we have riff tracks. We have a whole tradition of online film critics who use MST3K as sort of a formula for how they talk about films. Is the important thing to just recapture exactly what made MST3K work in the first place, or are you going to try to move it forward as well?
Well, that's a great question, and I think I don't know if I'm capable to design that kind of thing. I think it's just you get people together and just take a run at it, and the MST has always been a document of the people who write it and the people who perform it. It's a couple of days in our lives, and so that's what kind of I expect from these guys. It's just them running at it and doing what they think is funny and what they want to do with it. So that's really it. To me, it just kind of should I'm hoping it'll take care of itself without too much surgery on, like, well, is it like the old show? How do I, what else is out there? I'm not really thinking about that because I just think it comes from the people. It's not from the outside,
Well, obviously there's going to be a lot of riffing. That's the whole premise. But one of my favorite parts of the original series was all the interstitial, the sketches. And when you were hosting it, Joel, your relationship to the bots was very much father and sons. It was very didactic, teaching them about movies, what it meant to be human. When Mike came along, it was more of an even keel. It was more of a friendship. Jonah, guys, what is your relationship, do you think, in the new show? How's it going to work?
We forgot to add the sketches. That's what we got to do. We got to do that.
Joel and I have been kind of talking about that for a bit, and we kind of go back and forth. But the kind of fun stuff we have when we riff on the idea is that, like, the bots just, don't really like me, and it kind of like it's the third dynamic we can think of where it's like they both. It's like they both agree that they don't like me, but they both hate me in different ways.
Yeah. Waiting for the next guy. They're like actually like gonna wait it out, and like who else is she gonna send up? Let's just live with this, whatever, and hopefully he'll get taken out or injured. So they'll send a new one.
Yeah, they were hoping like it's like a combination of Mike and Joel would come along and look more like T.J. Miller.
Jonah, are you the first guy they've had since Mike, or has there been in the years that interim other hosts that we haven't seen on the show?
No, as far as this guy's told me,
This universe seems right up. It's to the last. It's I guess it's the 11th episode. Yeah, it's the 11th episode. So season. Sorry. So it seems right up to the 10th season. Yeah.
Okay.
There was one season where it was Christopher Eccleston, but a lot of people don't remember that.
Some people regard it really well.
Was the now the original format of the show, we had the Invention Exchanges, and Joel, you were behind that, and when you left, we kind of moved past that. Is there a new format for the introduction of the show? Are you going back to the Invention Exchanges, or is there going to introduce a new concept?
Well, I think it's still a component because Jonah comes from Jonah Heston. Jonah's character comes from Gizmonic Institute, and so that's still part of the currency, and so it's still a part of who he is, and he's trying to just change things, innovate things, and the Mads are kind of reacting to that too in the same way. So they're kind of reacting to him, and there is an Invention Exchange. We're working on it. Yeah, absolutely.
Hampton, Baron, you're the new voices of the bots. Is the personality going to be the same, or have they evolved or changed or grown as people somehow in the interim? Great, now it's vice versa. Now we're totally different people.
Whoa! I'm gonna make Servo great. No. Yeah, it's basically keeping the spirit of the character and then like adding hopefully like your own sensibilities on top of it, and hopefully like in a way that just kind of meshes together, and it's like seamless, I think.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm not sure how much we have to work on these characters. We are these characters.
That is actually true. You know, when Hampton and Barron, when we were doing the Kickstarter campaign, they did a video for Funny or Die where they played the voice of the bots, and I saw it and I thought it was so great, so I texted them both, and I was like, it's like, great job on that video, and Ham's like, thanks, man, and then Barron's like, well, they cut out my improvised Shakespearean monologue, so I'm a bit mad. I was like, you are Tom Servo.
Is Tom Servo going to get to sing some more? Because that became kind of an important part of the character.
Tom Servo. Yeah, of course.
Okay, good.
I hope so.
There's a yeah. There's a tradition on the show. There are jokes that sort of have followed along on the show. Quotes, it stinks, hi Kiba, I'm huge. Are we going to return to all of those?
It's kind of impossible to like get away from them. I think they're like kind of burnt in, and so we're trying to just keep track of the ones that are kind of from the old show, just so we're alert to them. But absolutely, I can't. It's bizarre, but it just they can't. Either the writers are putting them in, or I'm putting them in. It's just from memory, but it's just they're in there. Yeah, it's just kind of in. I don't know how to explain it.
Well, sometimes when it's just a shot of like some brush in an arid desert, you have to tell them to look out for snakes. You know, yeah, it's like sometimes there's a karate chop. You have to say Haikiba. Like there's nothing else you could say. And you know, some of my favorite jokes from any kind of movie riffing thing is like there's stuff that you want to be surprised by, but then there's something when they just say the thing that you would say, and it's so satisfying. And so that's kind of like part of the idea of doing those old riffs.
And then, of course, I'm excited about the idea of the new things. Like the things that we are inventing that will become the catchphrases that live on.
Is there a particular phrase you're thinking of that everyone's going to be saying this time next year?
Yeah, wumble, wumble, wumble.
That's my favorite is, oh, you're kidding me.
I've got a hold that thing.
I've got a tomato.
No, you can't tell us like what the new movies are, but you have worked on them. You're already writing them. You already filmed some of them.
Yeah, we've written all the riffs. We just got done, and happy to report it's looking good. Yeah.
Now the original show, you focused a lot on movies from the 50s, 60s, a little bit of 70s. Not much after that. A few. Have you run out of material from that time period? Are we going to see a lot more newer films?
Well, I think the movies are kind of like, I think mostly this is like comfort food. Like we're really kind of doing the difference is now the movies we're getting, people's TVs are so much better and bigger. So we've gotten widescreen prints, really nice looking prints. They're still bad movies, but it's not as much scratches and bad noise, bad sound and all that. So we worked really hard to do that. But I think the idea was to kind of like, it's been not available for so long. It's been 15 years. So I think job one, especially since we have a new cast and a bunch of new writers, was just to kind of land it back in the universe of MST3K. So to me, it's kind of like it's 60s, 70s, 80s, and I think there's one from the 90s. So I think that's kind of where it is.
Is it easier to get the rights to movies now because it's MST3K is such a big entity, or is it harder because they know their bad film has value?
That's a great question, but I think my impression is I think a lot of it had to do with just having a little more money, and that has a lot to do with the Kickstarter, that we could afford these films that just, I think my impression is they're better bad movies than we had, but we'll let the audience be the judge. I think that's kind of my take on it, though.
A question for everybody. Is there a particular bad film you would love to do on the show, whether or not it's plausible?
Happy Feet.
Happy Feet's brilliant. No, you.
Man, it's the movie we were just talking about, Hausu.
Oh.
Yeah, Hausu.
I don't know. House is kind of actually brilliant, though, isn't it?
It is, but there's you find with a good movie to riff on is like there's just spaces. There's those gaps, so you can have a lot of fun with the reaction, and it's a lot of visual stuff, which you can play with a lot as far as riffing.
That would be like the first MST3K movie with a Criterion edition.
That's true.
Yeah.
That's
Darren,
what we got to get into.
you going?
I actually, like, in a perfect world, I'd love to do something like American Beauty. Like, that's just, like, terrible. In my mind, it's, like, just saccharine. And, like, I like a cheesy movie that's bad because it's people trying really hard, but like I can't stand like really well paid actors like just doing like saccharine, like pandering movies where like dad's upset in suburbia. Like it's just not interesting at all. But you know that will be left to other people, I'm sure.
I put my sunglasses on because of my allergies, and I'm allergic to not being cool. You know, the thing is that like a lot of these movies, like post '90s, even if they are quote unquote bad, there's not as much space to riff inside of them. Because a lot of these movies that we're doing, there's all this silence where there's just weird people walk. Like, why did they just cut to this person walking down the hallway for 10 seconds, or someone's face on camera for too long? Where you can just get things in there. And so I think that what happened in the 90s is people figured out if our movie's bad, let's just have things happening all of the time. So there's no room for like riffing.
Yeah.
I've thought about this where it's like movie language, like the visual language of movies moves so fast now, like, but that's the beauty of like the older things.
And also my answer to your question is Batman and Robin.
Yeah. Kind of bit obvious.
Or is it?
No,
it's pretty obvious.
It's a bit obvious. Yeah, it's a bit obvious.
All right. My answer to your question is Batman versus Superman.
That's a good one. Wow. Especially the 3-hour cut. Lots of space.
Finally.
Gentlemen, I'm glad to see you're having such a good time together. I think it's going to translate to a good show. I hope. I know you can't make any official announcements. How soon do you think we're likely to see the show?
In the new year. Yeah,
Okay,
right
sometime
away
next
in
year.
the new year. Yeah. Yeah.
Awesome. Cannot wait. Thanks again. Can't wait to see the show. And it stinks.
Yeah.